This is clearly, good evening. This is clearly a very difficult time for the SNP. I mean, today was an important day for the First Minister setting out his policy agenda. As you'd expect, it's the first Tuesday back after the Easter recess, his first real opportunity to make a statement and set out his policy agenda. He did that. There was a lot of detail in that. There'll be a bit of slow burn. But there's no question that the background to it was incredibly difficult for the party. And now there's a significant task ahead of the Westminster elections, probably next year, and the Scottish parliamentary elections 3 years from now, for Humza Yousaf to set out who he is, what his tasks are as First Minister, and to try and regain the front foot. But there's no question that this is difficult at the moment.
Do you think that Humza Yousaf was fairly or unfairly framed as the continuity candidate? And do you think that the party might regret opting for someone who has been framed in that way, given that clearly there's some baggage from the previous leadership?
Well, let's not forget the framing of this. When Nicola Sturgeon left office, and who knows how this will pan out over the coming weeks and months, when Nicola Sturgeon left office, she left office with popularity ratings and poll ratings that any Westminster party would have given their high teeth for. Significant poll leads, having won 8 elections on the trot. She went out as a popular First Minister. So I think that as SNP members saw that legacy of success, saw the way that had transformed Scotland from a policy perspective, and they rather liked it. And that's why Humza was elected. So you can see why Humza would have wanted to have framed himself as a continuity candidate. The First Minister was not leaving, the previous First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, was not leaving because she was unpopular. She was leaving because she'd chosen that was the time of her exit. So I think that perspective around it is sometimes quite helpful. Now, things happen fast in politics, and that's why it's a job of politicians to try and keep up.
Well, I'm interested, you mentioned there, what do you make now, in light of recent events, of the timing and the framing of the reasons for Nicola Sturgeon's exit?
Well, Nicola Sturgeon had put in a shift. I think, first of all, if you take the recent revelations, and incidentally, of course, the rules around discussing police investigations in Scotland are much stricter than they are in England, for example. But Nicola Sturgeon had put in a shift. Remember, this was a First Minister who had gone through the Brexit disaster, the failed Brexit experiment, had positioned the party quite well around that. This was also a First Minister who had taken the lead through COVID. And if you look at leaders in democratic societies throughout the world, COVID paid a heavy price on politicians, now as well as frontline staff as well. But she did not go through her periods of First Minister during an easy time. She had Brexit, she had COVID, she had all the other challenges. And I think when she left, she said she was knackered. I think I believed her when she said that. And so I can understand why she wanted to leave.
I'm sure she was absolutely knackered. As you said, she put in a good shift. That's the understatement of the century. But I guess my point is, do you think she had some knowledge that the writing might be on the wall and that there might be a need for a change with these sorts of things coming down the pipe, or not?
That's not something I'm aware of, and obviously there's a live police investigation at the moment, but that's not something I'm aware of. So I have no knowledge that she was aware of these things. I can well believe that, given the shift that she put in, given it was 3 years to another parliamentary election, that she thought that was probably quite a good time to go. I think she thought that independence needed another push, because despite the fact the SNP get winning election after election, and as the SNP would see, a mandate after mandate, that no independence referendum was forthcoming from Westminster, she probably thought that a fresh approach was what was needed to go in the next stage of that journey. So I believe that's why she stepped down. You can see why she was exhausted, and you can see in the timing as well.
Stephen Gethins, thanks so much for joining us. Very much appreciated.